you today. On the Welcome to Australia website, it says Australia community exists and Australians in the task of cultivating and a culture of welcome in our nation. Australia, we know, is known for the diversity, compassion, generosity and commitment to giving people a fair go. And it is because for this reason and the goodwill and generosity of the Australian community that I felt so welcomed 13 years ago when me, my mum, dad and my 3-year-old sister arrived in Australia as a refugee. I am where I am today because I was given a fair go, and I am now proud to call Australia home. In my early years in Australia, however, my family did not have an easy path, and my dad lost his rights to work after seeking asylum, and I vaguely remember that most of our time was spent at the Asylum Seeker Resource Centre. I am so proud to be speaking alongside Con today, who is then and is now supporting many asylum seekers like my family and I. I remember that we got most of our toys from the Asylum Seeker Refugee Centre, and the very little money that we had to use for food. I would just like to thank Con and the Australian Refugee Centre for helping us. It is for this reason, and seeing the suffering of others, I want to contribute to the Australian community, particularly when it comes to refugee, asylum seeker and minority groups who are the victim of basic fundamental human rights in the name of race, religion and inequality that divides us all. And me and my family make a conscious decision to help out the community, and we do a lot of community work to help those who are in need. In 2004, my dad had to go into emergency surgery, and at that time the school that I was studying in the inner north Melbourne had called him to immediately take me out of the school because the principal said that I was not able to study any longer as my father's application for asylum was rejected. Despite the explaining of the situation, the school wanted to evict me, and I was only 7. Fortunately, the intervention of Red Cross workers, I was allowed to continue to study. I say this because I do not want anyone to feel unwelcomed as we did, and there are so many asylum seekers and children in detention that are deprived of basic human rights who are suffering much, much worse. I stand here today as a young Australian and a former refugee that everyone has the right to belong, connect and be respected with dignity. Welcome to me is creating a sense of belonging and provide a social justice irrespective of what race, religion, caste and creed you are. The world we live in today is so interconnected that we must learn to live together, and we must learn from each other the different cultures, and we must also teach our cultures, because if we do not understanding someone causes fear, and eventually fear causes hatred, and this is not what we want. One of my favourite quotes is, "Comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable." We must comfort those who have experienced persecution, loss of their family, torture, and create an environment of welcome. The movements such as Walk Together for Freedom by Welcome to Australia is not simply a walk. It is a platform, this platform for humanity, no matter how big, small and powerful one is. And it is because of activism and advocacy work of Welcome to Australia, Australian Asylum Seeker Refugee Centre, FECA, ECCV, Human Rights Agents and Refugee Council of Australia and many others that we have been able to fight against the change for 18C Racial Discrimination Act, which is a ticket for bigots. The recent defeat of the proposed citizenship law by Australian government is another testimony of the power of civil society movements like this walk today. Through the movements like this, we must disturb the comfortable notion that allows division in our community. The political fear, biased reporting of the media, extreme right wing of political parties and its leaders not only divides our countries and spreads hatred, but it undermines the success of our multiculturalism that has made us all proud. Refugees has always contributed to the social and economic fabric of Australian society, and critiques should go by facts and recognise not through the lens of biased media and right-wing ideologies. Before I conclude, I would like to make a pledge today, particularly for the parliamentarians from all sides of politics, to take my message to Canberra. The Australian government should commit to resettling 20,000 Rohingya refugees from Bangladesh who are the victims of human rights abuse at the hands of Myanmar military, and this should be on top of the current Australian government's quota intake of refugees. I say this because earlier this week Australia was elected as a member of the United Nations Human Rights Council in New York. This is an opportunity for the Australian government to justify becoming a member of the Human Rights Council despite our past history with asylum seekers and our humanitarian situation. And thank you all for listening. Let us all join together and walk.